Hi, this is Hao Tian from WAICY 2022. I'm honored to have one of our winners from Canada. My friend, please introduce yourself to the audience. And for people who don't know your project, please also introduce your project a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey folks, my name is Aditya Dewan. I'm a 16-year-old who's currently in Mississauga, Ontario, and I'm currently been working on a project called Sparked, which I submitted at WAICY 2022. And basically, the key idea behind the project is to improve something known as knowledge distillation. Or, in other words, how can we transfer the knowledge between two neural networks much more effectively while preserving the original information of the teacher in 1/10 of the training time with substantially more accuracy? And that's basically what my project revolved around. And it was in development for around 8 months before my final submission. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it leads in the future as well.
That's amazing. By the way, the detailed project link is in the video description. Feel free to check out his amazing work later. So, Aditya, the prize you won is the one and only Outstanding Research Award since the first WAICY 2018, which means you are the special one among all the winners. So, congratulations again. Before we talk about your work this year, let's go back to where you started. It's amazing to start research from a young age like you, but many students like you or younger than you are worried about their abilities to do that. To encourage them to learn and do the research in this area like you, can you share with us how you begin your AI journey and how do you learn all the skills and turn it into the research?
Absolutely. So I think my AI journey actually started around 3 years ago, when I was in grade nine. And it started off with, I think you might be familiar with this, Andrew Ng's famous deep learning course. It's like
Mhm.
basically the
Yeah.
textbook Bible of deep learning. So I basically just did that for a couple of months, and most of it was just spurred on by my curiosity.
Mhm.
I guess for context, previously before I went into the field of I was working in robotics, right? And I was leading robotics teams. And what I was always questioning in the back of my mind was why exactly do I have to hard code every element of this particular robot, right? Why is it that these machines, which are supposed to be intelligent, are so dependent on human intervention, human programming? And that kind of led me down the path of, is there a solution to this? And the answer was, of course, artificial intelligence. And I kind of did that for around 6 months, just learning, developing skills, doing courses. And through that and through doing different projects, I actually landed an internship at a company called Actionable as a machine learning specialist for about a year, where I was developing recommendation engines based on generative adversarial neural networks. And after a while, I believe, after a year at that company, and I'm still working there, of course, kind of realized that my practical understanding of the field was strong, but my theoretical understanding was lacking. And
Mhm.
so 8 months ago, I kind of developed a system for myself where I would read textbooks, go deep into linear algebra, understand the fundamentals of deep learning, and progressively do harder and harder replications of different research papers. And eventually, on my third replicate, I believe, I came across a system called born again neural networks. And that was the, I guess, foundation for my own ideas. And I was able to link my different replicates together to create Sparked. And eventually, I think the process of replicating and learning is what helped me to find the ideas and lay the groundwork for what would eventually become the new research project. So, yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing that. Hope you all audience all get the spirit from that. Let's go back to this year's project. So how does it like happen? I noticed you mentioned a little bit like you combine them together and work on this one, but can you be more specific about it? And how do you know WAICY and finally decided to turn your project and research into the submission for that?
Absolutely. So this goes back to what I was doing 8 months ago, roughly. And basically my fundamental I guess desire or I guess purpose was that I wanted to create something that would eventually disrupt the AI community in a positive way, as in significantly move the field forward. That's basically always been my goal. And that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. But what I was doing while I was replicating those papers is trying to improve upon them in my own way. So the first paper I replicated was that of the max out activation function. It was pretty simple, just basic, and it was just meant for me to learn more and more, right? And the second paper I replicated was that of Atom. And I tested Atom and around six different optimizers on different three-dimensional functions. Again, a very simple project, but those two projects helped me build my technical intuition. And for that last project, which was Born Again Neural Networks, that dealt specifically with knowledge distillation in the self-distillation case, right? And there were two distillation functions in particular, which were confidence weighting by teacher max and dark knowledge with permuted predictions. And so I implemented both of those from scratch in PyTorch. And the last one I also decided to improve upon a little bit. And that process of me trying to figure out, okay, this is what's true, and let me see if I can just tweak a little bit to improve it. Um, that kind of led me to realize that, hey, if we have optimization functions, how can we make optimizers themselves more intelligent? And how can we use more intelligent optimizers in combination with some of the principles from born again neural networks to improve the process of knowledge distillation? And that led to, I guess, probably a really interesting intuition, which was that saddle points are really just points of further descent, right? And building on top of that, as you'll see in the remainder of my project, that's kind of what led to the project I have now. And in terms of like why I submitted to WAICY, I was looking for a way to test my skills basically out in the field, right? Because of course you can replicate projects in isolation, but that doesn't really tell you much. You don't really have feedback from the world as to what's the quality of your ideas. Are these things feasible? Are they reliable? And so I went online, tried to find areas where I could test that research, found WACY, and it was a fantastic experience. So
Okay. Thank you. Are there any challenges you were facing when you worked on that? Like, how do you balance your study in school as a high school student and your research as a serious researcher?
absolutely. So in terms of key challenges, I guess I might go into some of the technical challenges first, but not too in deep into that. I guess the most significant technical challenge I faced was how exactly do we relate the lost landscape of two completely different neural networks together, right? Because obviously they have different parameter spaces, so a saddle point in one just does not correspond to another. And this was actually a problem right up until I pitched the project to the WASY judges, where the judge also brought it up. And over the last month, I actually ended up solving this problem. I continued working on it, and now I actually have a fully working solution, which is around 80% more effective. So basically, it was based on literature searches, right? I kind of just browsed literature far and wide to find different solutions, made mind maps, tried to connect different insights together, and that's what eventually led to me overcoming that challenge. But that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't, I guess it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't reflected and realized that, okay, this is the problem I'm facing, right? This is what the first principles ground truth are about different neural networks, right? And based on those principles, I was able to slowly build on top and create higher and higher, I guess, levels of reasoning almost as to what is true, what is not true. And that's what led to that eventual solution to that difficult research problem. In terms of, I guess, just balancing school and research, it's obviously a tough challenge, right? It's not easy. I was working until probably midnight for like at least 2 months before I actually like got anything in terms of not just end results really, but just trying to make a research project that actually worked. I think what really worked for me in terms of balancing all of that, aside from the basic things like, managing your time well, self-discipline, all of that stuff, I think the number one thing is the fact that you can't really control the results, right? Like you kind of have to treat yourself as a scientist almost, right? Like you're just observing a natural phenomenon, right? Like you're trying different things, and there's some, I guess, beacon of truth, right? This is what the truth is, and your job as a researcher is just to inch closer and closer towards that truth. And I believe that through my work and through my progress while doing that, that's really what helped set me apart, I guess, from other people who attempted the same thing but may have not, I guess, succeeded in that respect. And that, of course, with the fact that I had a mentor who was very generous, Ben Fedoruk, if is his name, at the Ontario Tech University. He's just been phenomenal and really helped me behind some of the more rigorous math aspects. So I guess to summarize, it would just be a matter of self-discipline, realizing that you control your actions and not the outcome, and treating yourself as an explorer of what is true rather than trying to force the end result into something that it's not. So yeah.
So after the competition, you won the prize. Congratulations again. Are there any further steps for this research for yourself? Like, and also like your self-learning in AI. Can you share the plan with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So my main plan over the next, actually, I should probably back up a little bit. So as I just mentioned earlier, my fundamental goal with this was to disrupt the AI industry,
Mhm.
right? And of course, that's a long way away. So I'm just trying to work myself up towards that. And I guess, as I mentioned before as well, what I'm currently doing with this project is trying to make it a solid technique for fast, effective, and more importantly, a form of knowledge distillation which can actually allow modern deep learning methods and deep neural networks to be applicable across a wide range of industries, which is the key bottleneck that we're currently facing, right? Like systems such as GPT-3, for instance, billions of parameters, right? But they can't be widely deployed onto edge devices without hooking them up to a server or billions of dollars worth of cloud infrastructure. So the idea is to avoid all of that through distillation. And I guess just on the same train of thought, I guess the fundamental goal that I'll be pursuing over the next couple of months is to repeatedly solidify this technique and make it something that can truly, I guess, fulfill that objective. And of course, I'm actually submitting the same project to ISEF, the International Science and Engineering Fair. So hopefully, all things go well on that front as well. And my end objective with this is to present Sparked at an actual research conference, at an artificial intelligence research conference. Once again, a pretty ambitious goal, but I'm working my way up to that, and that's kind of what the future looks like. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good plan. And I hope you can get in the conference. Yeah. So before we wrap up, I want to give you a minute or so to share the messages with the peers, parents, and educators around the world watching this who attended WAICY or not yet.
So, I guess what are you looking for in that kind of a message? Like a message towards to inspire, a message as to like the opportunities that WASIC gives, or
Yeah, it's more like encouragement or yeah, just anything you want to share
yeah,
for to your peers and everything. Yeah.
absolutely. So I think fundamentally what I would say is the fact that it's hard, right? Any type of research endeavor, any type of I guess any attempt to disrupt an industry or any attempt to do something that's beyond what you thought you were capable of is always difficult, right? But I believe that it's through pursuing that difficulty where you truly realize that, okay, I as a person am like 10x more capable than I think I am, right? And it's that act of, I guess, shattering your own negative self-perception and moving forward with the idea that, okay, this may not work now, it may not work in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, years, right? But despite that, I'm going to continue through this endeavor. I'm going to continue persevering. I'm going to continue growing. I'm going to continue reading literature, building an understanding of the subject, improving my own skill set until one day all those efforts do end up compounding and truly, completely and utterly just shatter that glass ceiling, right? And once again, it does take a lot of time and it does take a lot of effort, right? Once again, many nights spent just working, wondering if this project was really even worth it, or if there was anything behind it, or if I was just simply wasting my time. But I truly believe that that process and that self-doubt is critical for anything in the future. And I guess it just goes back to what I was saying earlier, which is you can't control the end results, but you can 100% control your efforts. And I believe that there's no excuse for not putting your 110%. That is what will separate you from other, not just other people, but I think that is probably the key towards really moving things forward in your field. Not only on your field, but I guess humanity forward as well. Like every major breakthrough, I believe, has happened from people who decided that, okay, you know what? I'm capable of this, but I'm going to strive for this and I'm going to see what happens. So,
All right. Thank you for joining me. I think what you have been doing is unique and meaningful. Very proud of having you in WAICY. You not only encourage me and the whole WAICY team to make WAICY better next year, but also inspire lots of students who plan to do serious research work in the area. So it is important to keep sharing your knowledge. I hope you can share what you've learned in your own AI journey with more and more people in the future. Thank you all. Once again, see his amazing project in the link at the bottom. Looking forward to seeing all of you in WAICY 2023. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.